There is a certain kind of person who never misses a microphone. Not because they have something urgent to say, but because silence, to them, feels like failure. At Sundance 2026, amid indie filmmakers, activists, and stories that actually mattered, that familiar pattern returned. The applause came first. The confusion followed. And somewhere between the red carpet and the stage, a documentary quietly lost ownership of its own message. The question isn't why Meghan Markle spoke. The question is why she always speaks when she doesn't need to. Sundance is supposed to be about films. About creators who spent years shaping uncomfortable truths into watchable narratives. The cameras that night captured the usual imagery, flashing lights, polite smiles, carefully curated authenticity. Meghan Markle arrived draped in seriousness, greeted as if she were the reason the evening existed at all. The applause was loud, confident, unquestioning. Harry stood nearby, mostly silent, a visual reminder that this wasn't a shared platform. It never is. The optics were immaculate. The logic was missing. Here's where the imbalance begins. Cookie Queens is not Meghan Markle's film. She didn't develop it, didn't direct it, didn't follow it through production. The project was completed before her name ever touched it. She and Harry were two of 18 executive producers, a title that in modern Hollywood often means access, not authorship. 16 other producers didn't feel compelled to address the room. Only one treated the stage like a personal keynote, and then came the speech. A familiar cascade of phrases followed, layered, meaningful, empowering, nostalgic, modern. Words stacked on words, carefully arranged to sound thoughtful while saying almost nothing. The documentary was described as cute, a word choice that would be puzzling if it weren't so revealing. Because Cookie Queens is not cute. It is a critique of how young girls are transformed into miniature sales forces, how families shoulder financial pressure, how childhood becomes monetized under the disguise of opportunity. Calling the cute isn't interpretation. It's misalignment. This is where language becomes evidence. When someone uses broad, corporate-friendly vocabulary, it often signals distance from the material itself. Meghan's speech didn't engage with the film's discomfort. It didn't acknowledge the exploitation, the economic strain, the uncomfortable implications. Instead, it floated safely above them, rebranding critique as empowerment, pressure as nostalgia. Translation: difficult truths were smoothed into marketable sentiment, which raises an obvious question. Did she actually watch the film? Because nothing in her remarks suggested familiarity with its core argument. Cookie Queens challenges the commercialization of girlhood. Meghan reframed it as a celebration of it. That isn't a misunderstanding. That's a complete inversion. As always, the pivot followed. From the film to her. From the girls on screen to her childhood memories. From systemic critique to personal branding. Meghan referenced her past as a Girl Scout, or at least adjacent to one. The distinction matters. She was briefly a brownie, a lower rank, a short chapter. But former Girl Scout sounds better when you're positioning yourself as spiritually aligned with a documentary you didn't shape. Nostalgia, when deployed correctly, is a branding tool. And everything, eventually, circles back to Meghan. When asked about whether her own daughter might join the Girl Scouts, the answer was vague enough to mean nothing at all. Privacy invoked selectively. Personal narrative shared when useful. Boundaries enforced when inconvenient. This is not inconsistency. It's control. Critics noticed. IndieWire described the film as a critique of commercialization and pressure placed on young girls. Audience members reportedly questioned why Meghan was even on stage. Some noted the emotional weight of the documentary contrasted sharply with the speech that followed it. Financial strain, parental sacrifice, systemic expectation, none of it appeared in her commentary. Instead, the focus remained on her feelings. Her reflections, her journey. Visuals filled in the gaps the words didn't. The oversized coat, the awkward proportions, the deliberate informality styled as effortlessness. Fashion here wasn't just clothing. It was metaphor, too much fabric, not enough structure. A look that demanded attention without anchoring itself to context. Body language followed suit. Confident positioning, expansive gestures, prolonged hugs timed perfectly for cameras. Performative warmth, choreographed authenticity. Harry, meanwhile, existed in the margins, occasionally acknowledged, rarely centered. He has spoken before about media intrusion, about cost, about restraint.